Who are you? Three words, three simple words. It's a question we often get asked. Yet perhaps it is the most hardest to answer. Because do we really know who we are? Most of us respond with a role. I'm a teacher, I'm a businessman, I'm a mother, I'm retired, I'm a Christian, I'm an atheist, I'm a writer, I'm a poet, I'm a manager. But are these really answers to that question? Or are they merely costumes, roles that we play? The ancient Greeks used a word for the mask worn by actors in the theater, persona. It is from this word that we get the modern word personality. Think about that for a moment. The very thing we often believe ourselves to be may originally have meant a mask, a role, a performance. Some roles are assigned to us. The good son, the responsible daughter, the family provider, the troublemaker, the smart one, the failure, and others we choose for ourselves. The spiritual person, the successful entrepreneur, the rebel, the intellectual, the influencer, the victim, the hero. It's endless. At first, these roles seem harmless. They help us navigate life. They give us a place in society. But over time, something dangerous happens. We forget we are acting. The role begins to consume the actor. The mask grows into the face, and eventually we lose sight of who we really are and who's wearing it. I once worked with an account director in an advertising agency back in the day. He was feared by everyone around him. He carried himself with authority. His voice filled the room. People stood when he entered. He seemed powerful. Years later, when I met him after his retirement, he was a pale shadow of who he was. The authority was gone, the expensive suits were gone, the assistants, the meetings, the respect that came with the title, all gone. He looked lost, as though a part of him had disappeared because it had. Not his true self, only the role. For decades, he had mistaken his position for his identity. And when the role ended, he no longer knew who he was. Now, this is not unusual. Many people experience the same thing when they leave a profession, lose a relationship, retire, or see their children move away. The role collapses. And what remains is often a terrifying question: who am I without this? The corporate world is particularly skilled at encouraging role playing. Every organization has its own mythology, its language, its hierarchy, its rituals. People learn how to dress, how to speak, even how to think. Performance reviews reward conformity. Authenticity often takes a backseat to fitting in. Soon people are no longer expressing themselves, they're expressing the job description. Some become so identified with their corporate role that they carry it everywhere. The office persona follows them home, they become managers to their spouses, executives to their children, brand ambassadors of their own carefully constructed image. The daughter of a friend of mine who works for an American company transformed herself into something she wasn't. The way she dressed, spoke, the company she cultivated, the attitudes, lifestyles, the accent, all false, all deliberate. It gave her a sense of belonging. But after some time, you forget who you really are. The performance never stops, and deep down, exhaustion sets in. Because maintaining a false self requires tremendous energy. The mystics of every tradition understood this. The Taoists spoke of returning to one's original nature. The Desert Fathers retreated into silence to discover who they were beneath social identity. The Gnostics spoke of awakening from the dream of the world. Even Yeshua challenged the masks people wore. The religious authority of his day were experts at performance. They displayed piety publicly while remaining disconnected from their inner truth. His criticism was not aimed at religion itself, it was aimed at pretense, at people who had become trapped inside a role. The spiritual journey the spiritual journey begins when we become aware of the performance. Now, not with guilt, not with judgment, simply awareness. Notice the roles, notice the masks, notice the stories you tell about yourself. Observe how your behavior changes depending on who is present. Observe how many versions of yourself appear during a single day. The professional self when you're in the office, the family self when you're at home, the social media self when you're in the company of your friends, the spiritual self when you're all alone, the private self. Which one is real? Perhaps one of them. Or perhaps all of them are temporary expressions of something deeper. Imagine the sky. Clouds pass through it endlessly. Some are dark, some are bright, some dramatic, some barely visible. The sky never becomes the cloud. It simply allows the cloud to pass. In the same way, your roles are clouds. Your authentic being is the sky. The spiritual process is not about creating a better role. It is about discovering what remains when all roles are removed. This requires courage because masks provide protection. Without them, we feel vulnerable. Yet vulnerability is often the doorway to authenticity. The practice can begin very simply. Spend a few minutes each day sitting quietly and ask yourself, who am I if I stop telling my story? Who am I without my profession, without my achievements, without my failures, without my beliefs, without my reputation? Do not seek an intellectual answer. Remain with the question. Eventually, something remarkable begins to happen. You discover presence beneath the performance, a quiet awareness that has been there all along. The witness, the observer, the one who has watched every role come and go. The child, the adult, the parent, the employee, the retiree, the success, the failure. The mystics call this by many names. Spirit, soul, the divine spark, the true self, the kingdom within. Names do not matter. The experience does. When you begin to recognize the deeper presence, something shifts. You no longer need to defend your role. You no longer need to prove yourself. You can play your part of life without becoming imprisoned by it. You can be a manager without believing you're a title, a parent without becoming consumed by that identity, a spiritual seeker without performance spirituality. You can wear the mask when necessary and remove it when the play is over. Perhaps that is the real freedom. Not rejecting the roles, not escaping the world, but remembering that you are the actor, not the costume, the sky, not the cloud, the awareness, not the story. And when that realization dawns, even briefly, life becomes lighter. The performance continues, but the play acting ends. And for the first time, you begin to meet your authentic self. Don't you think it's time you did that? Don't you think you met yourself? Who you really are when the mask is off? Think about it and practice what I've been telling you. Sit quietly and see who you really are when the mask is off. Thank you.